There's this thought experiment that I've had for a long time, and I keep coming back to it, so I thought I might as well share it with you. So here it is. I genuinely wonder how different my life would be today if I just had been more of an asshole. Like, I just should have been more of an asshole, man. In some situations, if I would have just, put aside my morals and just did what was necessary to get the best for me out of certain situations, where where would have that taken me? If I was just would have been just more willing to fake things, confidence, fake, what else people fake, certifications, fake skills, more willing to accept this whole, stepping over other people to get ahead. On a fundamental level, I just never really understood that life is kind of a big show and everyone attended with their mask except for me, right? And it took me way too long to finally realize that the game of life is kind of rigged in the favor of people who, can wear their mask in the most elegant way. Because have you ever noticed how far some of these fake people get? The most intelligent people I know sometimes just lack the confidence or the willingness to fight a war of attention and validation. They they like the way that they think is they want the voice of reason and fairness and just the truth to be enough. You know what I mean? But since it is always just a war of validation and attention, the people who don't know shit but are the most vocal and loud will win regardless. And if you're especially good at putting up this, perfect persona, you're already infinite steps ahead. And the more you can, bury your true self and keep perfecting your mask, the better, basically, right? The easier time you have welding yourself into whatever you need to be or into whatever society asks you to be at a certain time and just keep perfecting that role. And what's so fucked up about that is not just that it happens, but as I said, that the system we live in actually, rewards it actively and passively. It punishes and stars the good and the true in a way, and it ignores or defends the bad while claiming the opposite. And we've basically built a world now where being ignorant and, just like dumb, overconfident, and like self-obsessed is the better strategy, right? It's an advantage at this point. People will do anything to get ahead of you, whatever it is, they feel like you have that they don't. These people will always pretend to be your friend, but they never actually want to get the real you. They will lie to your face without any second thought. People are constantly shit talking others, talking about their friends like others wouldn't treat their enemies. They will constantly try to put others down and try to gather leverage and status in any way that they see possible. And the crazy thing is, these kinds of people, they will see nothing wrong with how they act and how they impact everything around them. Because to them, the cause justifies the means. And to them, they want to go up, no matter who ultimately goes down because of it. And actually, I think that it's not only the result of the system we currently live in. Sometimes I think that no matter what system we create, some people or something within us people will always find a way to corrupt everything down to its very core. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, is it just inevitable? Everything we create just turns foul if we keep it developing, if we keep developing it long enough. And actually, I think this is not only the result of the system we currently live in. Sometimes I think no matter what system we create, some people, or I guess something within us people, will always find a way to corrupt everything down to its very core. So as it is right now, you're forced to spend your life trying to climb some invisible ladder or hierarchy we made up at some point. And if you're low on that ladder, you're gonna suffer. And then you start to understand what it takes to really move up. And if you decide to play that game, really play it, if you decide to go that route, you quickly realize that the higher you climb, the more you're expected to compromise who you are and your boundaries and your bodily autonomy, your time, your morals, your ethics, your honesty. And the people who thrive in that environment don't lose sleep over it. They don't question it. They just call it ambition, tradition, or that's just how things are. That's just life. Meanwhile, the people who just want to live their lives in peace, who don't want to, dominate or exploit anyone, who don't want to turn everything into a freaking business, they're the ones, ultimately having to face all the negatives, being underpaid and, exhausted, having to worry about, surviving, struggling every day. Not because they're lazy or incompetent, but because they don't want to become an even bigger gear in a machine they already hate being part of in the first place. And society loves to say it values honesty and integrity and hard work, honest work, but those values are mostly pushed onto people so they're easier to control and easier to exploit. I mean, like it's so easy to see. Be honest so they can use you. Be patient so they can do more with you and take more from you before you ever even think about speaking up, right? Be humble and like quiet so you never have the balls to question why someone else has 10 times as much for doing half of the work. Whether we're talking about individuals or massive corporations, it's painfully clear that it's still not about truth or intelligence or wanting to build a healthier society, but about money, ego, and control. And it's maintained by people who are either too numb themselves or too invested themselves to ever stop this cycle. And the more you can detach and the more you can see others as disposable or just as extensions of your own, goals, the easier everything becomes. And, the easier you can just manipulate things in your favor no matter, the ultimate outcome of your actions. That's just not something you care about anymore. Yeah. And realizing that is deeply unsettling because it shows that cruelty is kind of built right into this system, and your ability to survive in this world depends kind of on your ability to basically ignore all of these things, right? Ignore what you already know. Sometimes it honestly feels like the logical response would be to just, give up on being sincere altogether, because it seems like the people who do rarely face real consequences. And by the time they do, they're usually too rich, too connected, or too powerful for it to matter anymore. Not that these people are gonna, be any more happy than the people below them anyway. It's all just empty nonsense, chasing material wealth and attention. It feels like you're given two options. Either you become the exact thing that you swore you'd never become when you were a kid, or you try to carve out some weird, fragile little path where you don't have to sell your soul just to survive. Where you don't have to become a predator in some way or sell yourself to a system.